So we're going to add mixed numbers, and we're going to look at two examples. Let's look at example 1. So when we're adding mixed numbers, we don't really need to change the mixed number to an improper fraction. As you can see, changing this mixed number to an improper fraction would be a lot of work, and the numbers get very big. And as the numbers get bigger and you're not using your calculator, you're likely to make mistakes. So there's an easier way of doing this, and that's how we did this in class. So let's look at it. So we're going to look at 250 and 1/6 as 250, which is the whole number, plus the fraction, which is the 1/6. Okay, so we're keeping the fraction separate from the whole number. Plus 50 and 2/5 is the same as 50 plus, 2/15. So we're just breaking it down, each number, into its whole number plus the fraction part. So that way we can take the whole number, add it to the whole number because it's a plus. So 250 plus 50 is what we're going to do next. Plus, and then we'll deal with the fraction separately. So we have 250 plus 50, which is 300, plus, and now we have to combine the two fractions by addition. And in order to add two fractions, we need a common denominator, which is the LCM. There are so many different ways of finding the LCM. One of the ways is by breaking it down into its prime factors. It's 2 to the 1 times 3 to the 1. Write it in the exponential form. And remember, each number has to be a prime number, which means keep breaking it down until you can break down no further. So 15 is equal to 3 times 5, which is 3 to the 1, 5 to the 1. Now we examine the two numbers. Look at each prime, starting with the lowest. We have a 2 as a prime factor, and pick the highest that you see in these two sets of numbers. So we have 2 to the 1. We have 3 to the 1 in the first number, 3 to the 1 in the second number. We pick the highest, which means it is 3 to the 1. We also see a 5, which is a prime number, and it is 5 to the 1, which is the highest. We multiply all these three numbers to get the LCM. So the LCM is 30. Another way of doing that, if the numbers are small, we could do it by just looking at multiples of 15. 15 times 1 is 15. Stop and check if 6 divides 15. So then that 6 doesn't divide 15, so move on to the next multiple. 15 times 2 is 30. 6 times 5 is 30, which means 6 goes into 35 times, which means 30 is the LCM. So that is a crude method, but it works pretty well for smaller numbers. But if it's bigger numbers, then this is not a good idea, as I keep repeating in class. So we know that 30 is a common denominator. So we have 5 over 30 plus we're multiplying both the numerator and denominator by 2, which makes it a 4 divided by 30. So this is equal to 300 plus 5 plus 4 over a common denominator of 30, which is equal to 300 plus 9 over 30. Before we combine these two numbers and write it in the mixed number form, check first if it's in the lowest terms. As you can see, 9 over 30 can be written as, let's just write it down in the next step. 3 times 3, 30 can be written as 3 times 10. The 3 cancels and we get 3/10. Now the second thing to check is this number a proper fraction. If it is a proper fraction, then we can combine the two numbers and write it as 300 and 3/10. So that is our final answer. This is the whole number, and this is the proper fraction that's attached to it. Now let's look at a second example of addition of mixed numbers. As I said earlier, changing it to an improper fraction is not incorrect mathematically. However, it is not practical because the numbers, imagine multiplying 175 by 4. It's going to become large. The numbers become large. You'll have to do a lot of work to finally get the right answer. There'll be multiplication, addition, division, and it's easy to make mistakes when you're not allowed to use a calculator. So let's break it down just as we did before. The whole number is 175, so 175 and 3/4 is 175 plus 3/4 plus 25 and 2/3 is 25 plus 2/3. The next step is 175 plus 25. So we are adding the whole number with the whole number, and the fraction with the fraction. It's all addition, so there's nothing to worry about. We don't have to worry about signs. It's simple addition. So 175 plus 25 is 200. Now we have to combine the fractions, and the denominators are different. So we need to find the common denominator, which is the LCM. 4 is 2 squared, 3 is 3 to the 1. Pick the largest 2 times, pick the largest 3. So this is 4 times 3 is 12. So what we have used here is the prime factorization method. Another way of doing it works for this because the numbers are small. Start with the larger number, go 4 times 1 is 4. Check if 3 divides 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Check if 3 divides 8. Keep going until you find the first multiple that 3 divides. 4 times 3 is 12. 3 does divide 12. So 12 is the LCM. So we need to make sure 12 is the common denominator. So 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 3 is 12. So that is 9 over 12 plus 3 times 4 is 12. 2 times 4 is 8. So that is 8 over 12. So this is equal to 200 plus, we have a common denominator of 12. 9 plus 8 is 17. So there are two things to check. What are the two things to check? One, is the fraction in the lowest terms? And the answer is yes, because 17 is a prime number and it cannot be broken down further. And 12 doesn't go into 17. So it is in the lowest terms. What's the next important thing to check, like we did earlier? Is it a proper fraction? If it is not a proper fraction, you cannot combine the two numbers together. So this is equal to 200 plus. If it's not a proper fraction, then change it to a mixed number. Change the improper fraction. In this case, change the improper fraction to a mixed number. So that is equal to 12 goes 1 times into 17, leaving a remainder of 5. So what we've done is changed 17 twelfths into a mixed numbers. So 12 goes 1 times into 17, leaving a remainder of 5. So that would be 1 and 5 twelfths. We don't keep going because this is not decimal division. We are trying to change it to a mixed number. So we stop here. So now how do we combine these two? We have a whole number. The whole number is added to the whole number. So it becomes 201 and 5 twelfths. So what is the most important thing to remember when we are adding mixed numbers do not change the numbers to an improper fraction. Do not change the mixed numbers to their improper fraction equivalent forms, because that is not an efficient way of adding the numbers without using a calculator. The second thing is, if the fraction is an improper fraction, after you finish all the addition, at the end we check if it's in the lowest terms, if the fraction is in the lowest terms, and if that is simplified, the next thing to check is it a proper fraction? Only if it is a proper fraction you can combine it. For example, you cannot write it as 217/12. What's the point, right? We're separating the whole number from the fraction. So if there's a whole number sitting in here, we need to take care of that first. So what does that mean? Change the improper fraction to a mixed number. So we see there's a whole number, which is a 1, that needs to be added to the whole number. So we can then write it as 201 plus 5/12, which is the same as 201 and 5/12.